Hey there, everybody. I wanted to share some VCLT I got from a prominent vinyl community member, uh, Trish Mullins, or DJ Trish, or Trish M, or however you refer to her. She sent me a CD called Back to the Beach 2016, Part 1, which is very cool. And I opened it up, checked it out. I spun it up. Here's a track listing. It's a very summery feeling set of tunes. I was like, oh, part 1. Oh, that's cool. And it wasn't until I putting the CD back in, I was like, hey, there's another CD in here. Because there's a back part to this. This CD thing opens up, and there's another piece in there. And there's part 2. So it was like a surprise after a surprise. I wasn't expecting the VCLT in the first place. Again, a lot of great tunes. Beach Boys, Baha Men, Delphonics. Very, very summery feel. Very peaceful. I'm sure everybody's familiar with DJ Trish Mullins. Either way, I'll post a link in the description down below and post a link to her channel so you can check it out. She's a pretty eclectic person as far as the type of things she shows in her videos. She loves music. She's apparently a very popular DJ in New Jersey. And all around, just a kind, sweet, caring person. Somebody you should be peeking in on now and then. Hey everybody, my name's Tom. You're watching High Rant District. I want to talk today a bit about it. Took a road trip last week. Left on a Monday, came back on a Saturday to investigate Greenville, South Carolina, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've been living in Portland, Oregon since about 2002, so pushing into 14, 15 years. And what was to me a really great city is not what it once was. I'm going to be probably mentioning the G word a few times. Gentrification has just pounded this city. The costs are just increasing. Everything costs more and more here. The city to me has issues, and to be fair, I think after about 10 years in one place, it's not abnormal that I'm going to get tired of probably being there. So anyway, I've heard good things about Greenville, South Carolina, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've also heard great things about Detroit, Michigan. Back in February, I did a video talking about my trip to Detroit. I dug Detroit a ton. It's got some issues that make it be the type of place that's probably not going to be a great place for me to move to at some point in time. You can watch that video if you care. As far as the next step, on where I move, I've got my girlfriend and the dogs, and we're looking kind of at a place that will be an interesting place, a nice place that's more affordable than where we live now. Again, Portland's getting very expensive, so. And right now we can absorb those costs, but at some point, I'm not at retirement age. Eventually I'm going to hit it though, and it boggles my mind how anybody who is retired or on a fixed income, a fixed low income anyway, in Portland, how they manage to stay here. So anyway, first thing I'm going to talk about, Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, so we flew from Portland, straight direct flight to Atlanta. It was the least messy flight, didn't need to do any changes, and from Atlanta, just grabbed a rental car, drove up to South Carolina. Greenville was about a 2-hour drive, no big deal. As we're driving into Greenville, noticed a lot of the roads were very beat up. There was a lot of potholes, a lot of beat up roads, and a lot of boarded up storefronts, which is a flag when you see a number of them and they're not all just in one neighborhood, they're kind of separated. backtracking a little bit, a couple of things that I have in my mind about where I want to live. I consider like the total cost of living, but the contributing factors are, can we buy a house without having a mortgage or having a very low mortgage? What do the property taxes look like? In Portland, Oregon, you just get destroyed on property tax, and it climbs every year. So you got considerations are property taxes, income taxes, sales tax, all the little things that are cost of living, utilities, how well is the city run, and, bottom line too is a really important one is people. Are there good people where you're going? And that one's almost, it's a weird thing to say because it's good people everywhere. But anyway, so we got to Greenville. We stayed in downtown. Downtown Greenville is, I want to say it's a 10-block strip. And it is very, very gentrified looking. The stores, like anything that's a bar and grill, is a grilly, like GRILLE, like taking the E on the end of the word, or if something's there's a lot of things that say boutique or a shoppy, like instead of a shop, SHOP, things are a SHOPPE, and those are kind of red flags. One thing I dig about Greenville, I'm into sports, is they do actually have a hockey team there, an ice hockey team, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, which is a fantastic name. They're an ECHL, East Coast Hockey League team, so they're 2 levels below the NHL. It's like the NHL is the top, then you have the American Hockey League, then I think you have the East Coast Hockey League. I don't care. It would be affordable hockey and to go to, which does appeal to me. There's no soccer there, which is a downside, but it's got ice hockey to watch, and it has recreational ice hockey. So there's places where I could go skate for pickup hockey, or I can just play hockey. I can find a team and play. So Greenville was like the downtown seemed gentrified, but it was nice. I mean, people were generally nice. Food was like maybe a little pricey / a little frou-frou, but we're eating in the downtown area, so I don't think that's a fair thing to say about Greenville as a entirety. One thing I did seek out was I took a stroll over to Cabin Floor Records in Greenville, South Carolina. Maybe a year ago, maybe longer, Aaron, the metal theologian, did a spotlight video on Cabin Floor Records, going on and on about it. If I remember, I'll put a link to his video so he'll do a better job of explaining the place. But it was cool. It was a small store, maybe 600 square feet, but it was the rare occasion, and by rare I mean I don't know if I've ever walked into a record store before, looked all around and gone, I could probably listen to and enjoy anything in this store. It was so well, curated, as you want to put it. A lot of rock. It had, I know jazz for Aaron, and it had a pretty deep punk section. I'm going to show some records in a moment that I picked up. There was like in this little 600 square foot store, there was this had to be like 100-pound German Shepherd coming up and sniffing on me and checking me out. Sweetheart of a dog. Anyway, the records I picked up 4 records there. Picked up compilation by the Avengers. This is from, they're a San Francisco punk band around 1977. They never put out an album. They've at least had a couple of singles, a couple of 45s, but some excellent old school punk. Oddly enough, I picked up 2 LP compilation by the Neo Boys called Sooner or Later. The Neo Boys are, oddly enough, it was weird going to Greenville and picking up a compilation of music from a Portland, Oregon punk band. They're from 1979-ish to maybe 1982 or 83. They were a Portland punk band, first Portland all-female punk band, I think. Kind of a feminist bent, political, as all good punk should be. And there's the back of it. And again, great stuff, great old school punk. Also picked up a copy of Johnny Cash at San Quentin. Can't go wrong with Johnny Cash. Got something southern-ish, you know, at a southern-ish place. Columbia. And also something I'd never heard of. This is a compilation album. The series is called Killed by Death. This is number 7. And this is Australian punk rarities. You know, the kind of... there's a look at side B. Some of the bands and the songs. Also side A. I'm going to dig more into this. This was really great listen. Killed by Death, number 7. But Australian punk rarities. And I was talking with Joe, who owns Cabin 4 Records. And he was telling me that this is, you know, if you tried to pick up the singles that are on this thing, you would be broke. It's extremely rare. And, you know, being Australian and me not being in Australia, probably nearly impossible to find any of these singles. So, great stuff. So we had a good time in Greenville. We stayed 2 nights. Liked the people. We also boogied down like maybe 25 miles southwest, I'm thinking. We went down to Anderson, South Carolina, which is a small town, but it's part of like I guess it's like a triangle of maybe Spartanburg, Greenville, and Anderson, which are the major towns comprising this upstate South Carolina triangle. It was cool. Very small townish. Had some good Italian food there, but it's kind of out of the way. But you know, if I were to focus on Greenville and say, yeah, Greenville's a little pricey because it is gentrifying, then Anderson might be a place to go to and have it just be like 25-minute drive to go see a hockey game or to actually play hockey if I want to play ice hockey. So Greenville was okay. I wasn't expecting to be wowed by either Greenville or Chattanooga. Mostly I was going there thinking, all right, let's see if any of these places really are places I go, nah, I can't live here. And I'll say, you know, visiting these 2 places in August is kind of ridiculous because of the heat and the humidity. But also, you know, heat and humidity are factors, so better to experience it and just get a reminder of what kind of heat and humidity, because we don't really have that much in Portland, Oregon, and the Pacific Northwest of the United States. It didn't really bug me that much. You know, I'll go out and I'll walk around, and it takes a while before I start sweating, but when I start sweating, I sweat like a pig. But, you know, there is no utopia, and if it's just everything's great, but, you know, it's hot and humid for 3 or 4 months a year, you know, first world problems. So we spent 2 nights there, and then we boogied off to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Oh, and one thing I glossed over about Greenville, South Carolina, which is a big issue to me, is maybe I didn't really gloss over, but gentrification. I was talking with a business owner there who is had just moved to a new location that I visited, and they had been at a previous location for a long time, but although the person who owned the building said they would never sell it, they ended up selling it, and apparently that building is going to be bulldozed and made into something else. So this business owner, who is like 2 months into a 2-year lease, said they're getting told that the owner of the place they just started leasing, and where they have 22 months to go, the new building owner wants them out because they want to bulldoze the building and build something else. Doing that sort of thing, building something fancy, is not my thing, man. I used to live in Denver, And when you're on the main street in Denver, it's a busy place. It's got light rail. You look around, like you stand in one place, look around at all the different businesses you see. Banana Republic, Gap, Hard Rock Cafe. That's anywhere USA. It could be anywhere. There's nothing that says, hey, this is Denver. If you like go to a certain point in the middle of the street, you can look up and see the mountains, and maybe that tells you it's Denver. But the businesses there, that's not Denver. So and just like taking old buildings that are not in need of replacing and just replacing them to put up something that's more expensive. In Portland, every square inch of dirt is being built on. There's apartments going up everywhere. Old businesses being bulldozed to put in new businesses and to raise rents and blah blah blah. It's not my thing. And Greenville is being lauded in publication after publication as a really great place to move to, great quality of living, low cost of living, and I really won't argue those things. But it's getting hit. It's getting hit with gentrification. I'm not going to say no to Greenville, but probably not. All right, moving on to Chattanooga. All right, so we leave Greenville. We're driving, and we drove. We took the scenic route. There's between Chattanooga and between Greenville and Chattanooga, there's a lot of landscape in the way. The fastest way to get there is really to start out in Greenville, go down to Atlanta about 2 hours, and then up about 2 hours to Chattanooga. We kind of went this way instead, took the more scenic route, and it took maybe about a half hour longer than it probably otherwise would have. And traffic in Atlanta is pretty bad, so it could have been 501, 501, 601, half a dozen the other. Anyway, so we drove. Left South Carolina, and then you go through, I think, a little bit of Georgia, and then a little bit of North Carolina, and then into Tennessee. Going through that little tiny, what would it be, southwest corner of North Carolina. We saw this gigantic billboard as we were driving by. A picture of a big, machine gun on it that said, the big large letter said, Black Guns Matter. And then below that, in lower letter, smaller case, in parentheses, and silver guns too. I'm not an anti-gun person. I don't have guns. I think dogs are better than guns, and they protect the house just as well. They prevent break-ins before it even happens. Anyway, so I'm not against responsible gun owners at all. And the people that I've known that have had guns all been responsible. But that sign, like, how do you have the balls to put up like Black Guns Matter, in the face of like the current climate of Black Lives Matter? And whether you agree with that slogan or not, you're just mocking it. And anyway, North Carolina. So we keep going. And it's kind of funny. It seemed almost as the road changed to Tennessee, the quality of the roads got a lot better. Now, South Carolina has moderate income tax. It has one of the lowest property tax rates in general in the nation, and the sales tax is not a killer. It's considered one of the 10 lowest tax burden states for residential living in the United States. Tennessee is considered a sort of a Midland type of tax burden. There's no income tax in Tennessee. Property tax is very low, not as low as South Carolina, but it's very low, especially compared to Portland, Oregon. And they make up for it, I guess, by having a sales tax. I think it's a 7% statewide sales tax, and then local communities can add up to like 2.5%. So like I guess the average sales tax is about 9.45%, maybe slightly lower on groceries and medicine, which there probably shouldn't be any on those. But anyway, so if you're a consumer, if you consume a lot of things, you pay a lot of tax. And if you're a person who saves, you're not going to pay as much tax. But either way, I always wonder, like, if it's got a low property tax and no income tax, what does the infrastructure look like? The roads crumbling, and like roads to me are the most noticeable thing. But driving into Tennessee, driving throughout Chattanooga, not just the main drags, but also digging into neighborhoods, roads were fine. Everything seemed in pretty good repair. I didn't see the amount of boarded up places I did in Greenville. Chattanooga also. One thing I'm going to tout about that place: people are nice. Food was excellent. It's scenic. Everything was right. There were no red flags there. The electric company in Chattanooga, and it serves Chattanooga and just the surrounding towns, EPB, Electric Power Board, maybe something like that. Besides being a municipally owned electric company, they also provide gigabit internet. That's 1,000 megabits per second. It's you can get that for $70 a month, or for $58 a month, you can get a little bit slower version, or you can get a way faster version for a lot more money. But gigabit internet at $70 a month is less than I pay for far slower speed by Comcast. Fuck Comcast. In Portland, Oregon. And that's phenomenal. That's really got to be a big draw for businesses, and it's available anywhere that apparently the EPB provides power. So it's all at Chattanooga and most of the surrounding area, which is incredibly cool. So Chattanooga had a lot to go for it. I did visit one record shop, and it was rare for me to buy nothing, but I didn't buy a single thing. I went to Chad's Records in Chattanooga. Now, apparently some time ago, there was a fire in a building next door to Chad's, which made Chad's Records location unusable, but didn't damage their stock. And Chad moved up to North Chattanooga, moved into Winder Binder Books, which I think is his cousin's bookstore. So it's kind of like a record store inside a bookstore. And it's, just a couple rows, a couple big bins of records. It was weird, like, I kept on looking at like all the dividers they had for the records, and you see like Elvis Costello, the Stooges, The Cure, Lou Reed, and like you go to all these dividers with like all these great names on them. Not an album to be found by any of those great names. The punk section there was none. It had a little bit of a psych section, a little bit of a metal section, and the rest was just, I'd say, like the better stock from Goodwill, just general records. The biggest flag I saw there was, and I'm guessing this is because it was in a bookstore that's probably obsessed with inventory, and no reason they shouldn't be, but on the back of every LP, there was a sticker on the rear side, on the bottom right-hand corner, with a Winder Binder inventory barcode stuck right to the album cover. Not an outside plastic sleeve, but to the album cover, which completely devalues it. And it's, Chad's Records is not a place where, from my visit, nobody cares about records there. It's just stuff that was dumped in the middle of a bookstore. The lady that was reading her book at the cash register couldn't be bothered to say hello or goodbye or even acknowledge my presence. Yeah, it was terrible. I didn't go to any other ones. I'm sure there's like at least one or two that are decent there. I'm guessing. And comparing like Greenville and Chattanooga, just off the top of my head, Greenville seems a little bit more hip, ever so slightly. But gentrification. Chattanooga seemed to be more of a just being what it is. Just a nice area, nice people. I had no complaints about Chattanooga. If I was looking for something to talk me out of it, it's kind of square. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Well, I kind of think so, but there is no utopia. So anyway, had a great time with my girlfriend driving around that part of the country, sweating buckets when we were not inside the car or inside the hotel rooms. But I could definitely, and my girlfriend loved Chattanooga, and I could see us there. So whether it's a year from now or several years from now, I want to keep looking around. I still have like a little place or two I want to check out, and who knows what flies across my eyeballs between now and whenever we decide to move. But big ups to Chattanooga, Tennessee. It seems like it's in a nice location too. It's like it's got a very, very cool NPSL soccer team, which is about the fourth division of soccer in the United States. It's short season, but great following, and they usually do pretty well. I don't really care how well a team does, but people are engaged and people care about the soccer team, which is important. There's no hockey there, no skating rinks. I don't think there's really anything nearby where I could play ice hockey, which is kind of a bummer. But within 2-hour drives, I think you've got Knoxville, Tennessee. They have a hockey team up there I could watch. Nashville, Tennessee is 2 hours away. Got the NHL Nashville Predators up there, who I think are poised for very good things. PK Subban is somebody they just traded for. I don't know why Montreal. I know why Montreal let him go. But Nashville should be a very good NHL team. Oddly enough, within 2 hours, I think Huntsville, Alabama is within 2 hours drive. Besides having the University of Alabama Huntsville Division I NCAA hockey, which seems stunning, for Alabama, but it's a strong program, not the best program, but it's strong. And also, I think the Huntsville Havoc, is the Southern Professional Hockey League plays down there. And supposedly they have a very strong following for something that's the, very minor league pro hockey in the United States. So Chattanooga is very promising. Had a good time in Greenville too. Joe was a super nice guy at Cabin Floor Records in Greenville. And I'm going to make a habit of getting in touch with him and picking up records now and then. He's the type of guy and the type of business you want to support. Super nice guy. And it was funny when I was chatting with him. He's like, I said, "Oh yeah, I saw someone talk about your store on a video on YouTube." He's like, "Oh yeah, I got this some guy in Greenville that follows prog music. He makes videos. I don't know who that is." And he's like, "Yeah, Aaron came up from way downstate. Aaron, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "And Aaron's really into jazz." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, the metalhead. He is really into jazz." But and Aaron talks very highly of him as well. Cabin Floor Records. If you look it up on Discogs, you'll find it. Super nice guy. If you see anything there on his Discogs page, I'd shop with that guy. That guy is super. The records that I picked up, well, I guess only one of them was open. It was a used record. Super clean, the Johnny Cash record. Cabin Floor Records. Anyway, Chattanooga was cool. Chattanooga was more than cool. It was hot as fuck, but it was cool. And Greenville was all right. I'm going to stop babbling. Anyway, thank you for watching. Catch you later.